Need some tower defense with that arcade action classic gaming? Look no further than Jet Set Knights. Latest game to be reviewed on Higher Plane Games. It's available for Nintendo Switch, Xbox One and PS4, and it's the PS4 version you're seeing on your screens. I'm doing this review primarily because Jet Set Knights is much better than I thought it was going to be, and because it's cheap and cheerful, I think quite a lot of people overlook these types of games, so I just wanted to shout this one out as being a decent one. It's available for 1 to 4 players to play cooperatively and in local multiplayer, nothing online. But the idea of this game is that you have a princess at the bottom of the screen of every single level, and enemies start to appear from the top and start trickling down, almost like reverse Donkey Kong, I guess. But as you kill enemies, you'll collect currency, which you can then spend to start erecting like defense structures to rebound off enemies, or sometimes kind of redirect enemies away from trouble areas. And you'll need to do that to try and then kill the enemies before they then tear down the defences and get to the princess. Or they might kill you in the process, or they'll get to the princess. Whichever one of those kinds of happens first will trigger a game over sequence. And so long as you've got past the first iteration of the boss, because it kind of runs around in like an endless loop cycle, you'll then open up the next level where you can have a different layout with different enemies, different traps set up in the levels, screen wrapping going on as well, for you to then try and one up your own local score there as well. More players equals more enemies, equals more frantic action, equals less coordination on where you're spending your coins. So yeah, there's lots of fun to be had. I do wish that there was some kind of versus mode, because there's an element of like mini tower fall in here, particularly when you start picking up the arrows that you can fire and like fire guns and stuff like that. It takes its cues from Towerfall, and also from a game that was released last year called Aegis Defenders, which kind of done something slightly similar to this, but with much more emphasis on the tower defence. Here this is more like tower barricading more than tower defence, because nothing really fights back. You have to do all the killing. The levels are relatively quickly unlocked, and the bosses come every few levels in the level cycle, and they're unique and interesting to each of the levels that you kind of come across. You can also collect giant coins, which you can then put into like a little arcade machine, and a bit like a roulette wheel. It will then decide whether or not you're going to get either a new type of knight, or a new kind of skin, or a new type of power-up can be unlocked into the game, or a new type of weapon. And as you go through, that will kind of diversify out all of the different things that you can get as well. Dying happens quite quickly in this game if you aren't careful, and the game has a really interesting difficulty curve, because as you play the game, it's like you're setting up dominoes that are going to fail at some point, but you're just waiting for that tipping point, because after an enemy hits a barricade a certain amount of times, it becomes weakened. Yes, you can then kill more enemies, collect coins, and then try and re-upgrade it again, but sooner or later that enemy stream will be too much for you to handle, depending on what your skill level is. And at that point you'll start to become overwhelmed, and then once one defense goes, they're all straight through to the next, and then you don't necessarily have the time to repair what they've got through, and you start to have like a losing battle. So long as you're up for that, and you're up for battling for your own high scores on your local leaderboard, Jet Set Knights actually has plenty to offer. I wish that there was a few more level layouts, and obviously I said I wish that there was some kind of battle mode for players to play with all of the different weapons in. Even if it was just on the original layouts that you play the actual game in itself, I think that would have been a great little addition. But what's here is still better than what I thought it was going to be and gave it credit for. It feels and plays well, the physics work well, good sound, great retro arcade classic gameplay. I think fans of your proper old like Atari Spectrum people, basically the old crowd like me, I think will lap this one up. So it's out now. Written review will be over on highplayinggames.com shortly. Until then, you guys take care and happy gaming. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a collection of media projects ran by me. If you like what you see and want to find out more, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support can make so much more possible, be that a like, a comment, a share, or a pledge. Thanks for watching.